Months of anticipation have come to an end as the day breaks over the farmland on the outskirts of Lisbon, Portugal. Lacing up my shoes, checking my camera gear, pulling my backpack straps over my shoulders, making sure now the genie is set. We readied ourselves for the first steps onto the path that will become our friend and foe for the next 28 days. As we glanced out the window of our hotel, clouds and drizzle were waiting to greet us as our unanticipated pilgrim welcome. The weather couldn't dampen what I'd dreamed of for so long. It was as if electricity was running through every artery, vein, and capillary in my entire body. The excitement was palatable. We were met by the first of what would be thousands of shell and arrow markers as we arrived at the entrance to the Camino trail. The anxiousness and awe, the magnificence and the mystique of what we were embarking on overwhelmed me as I took my first steps onto the way of St. James, the Camino de Santiago. With walking sticks in hand and my pack on my back, and just like that, the 400-plus mile journey had begun. A pilgrimage that has been sojourned by thousands of travelers from every continent for over 1,200 years. Pilgrims seeking peace, hope, escape, redemption, renewal, and the deep answers to the questions of their lives. It is for most an inward journey, and it is for all a physical and emotional challenge. Not much is needed for this journey. A pack with the basic essentials, an open mind, an open heart, and the hope that the Camino will provide. I had sipped the elixir that allowed me to set aside the well-known comforts of home and routine to attempt conquering the challenge that a daily grind of 15 to 20 miles a day presented. Walking the cobblestone streets of the charming hamlets, the dusty trails through beautiful eucalyptus and pine tree forests, through vineyards and along beautiful coastlines, step after step, mile after mile, until you reach your hotel for the night. A shower, a nap, a meal, and do it all again. Some mornings as we awoke, we wondered with a fleeting thought, can we do this again today? And then just as quickly the thought was gone, we prepared for the day's trek ahead. My route and the destination was the same as thousands before me. Pilgrims have dragged their weary bones and rubbery legs over the same terrain that we were traversing. But my journey, it was my own. Reflecting back on this great adventure, what lingers in my mind is not the fatigued body and the aching feet, but the warmth and hospitality of local people, inviting us to come into their home or their cafe for a respite from the unusually intense sun and heat. I remember the gift of local village people putting out fresh-picked strawberries on an organic cabbage leaf plate for weary pilgrims to indulge in. Or the 9-year-old girl offering a pitcher of ice-cold water, free cups of freshly squeezed lemonade, and a smile for drained pilgrims who had just ascended one of their steepest climbs into her small village. My mind's eye cannot let go of the unmatched beauty of seacoasts, eucalyptus forests, vineyards, and farmlands. Woven into my heart is the laughter, the generosity, the grace of fellow sojourners. And all of these became an ongoing lesson of the importance not only of endurance, but of slowing down. It is the great reminder that we're all going to the same place, and that every one of our journeys is unique unto ourselves. Each of us is carrying our own set of joys, burdens, worries, hopes, brokenness, grace, challenges, and successes. The Camino reminded me this is what we all have in common. On this pilgrimage, we all share the same station in life, that of pilgrim. It mattered not where you came from, why you were on the Camino, your political persuasion, or your gender identity. It didn't matter how much money you had or your educational pedigree. Each of us was going to the same place, and we were all on this journey to help one another. On the Camino, We were but one family of pilgrims, sharing and experiencing the same sunsets and rainstorms, the same valleys and hills, the surprises of new friendships, and the generosity of people we had never met, but who were on this journey with us and who were now family. It is the lesson of Ultreia, a Latin word meaning going beyond what we have come to accept as normal, to a new way of living and a new way of loving. We walked through medieval villages, trekking over roads that pilgrims had kicked up dust on, dating back to the early Roman Empire. As our eyes feasted upon cathedrals exquisitely chiseled of stone, and we peeked into intimate chapels that dotted the landscapes, my eyes could not begin to take in enough of the beauty that unfolded before us, from small family farms to ancient stone walls and monasteries, from fields of sunflowers to miles and miles of cornfields, to long stretches and paths through beautiful golden sun-bathed vineyards just waiting for the grapes to ripen. With every village came the welcome knowledge of refreshment and relief. A cold drink, a simple sandwich on a fresh bread, with ham and a slice of cheese. It was often a culinary delight, feasted upon to nourish our depleted energy, and a new stamp in our pilgrim's passport, providing the documentation of our journey and our quest to earn the coveted Compostela. Conversations in cafes and shops with waiters and store owners, chats with other pilgrims over a meal or a drink, random encounters with people on the trail, always wondering what we could learn from them. 2 questions we asked of each pilgrim we happened upon. Why were they walking? And what lessons had the Camino taught them so far? So many lessons, and yet so much in common. Gratitude, endurance, patience, grace, kindness, determination, solitude, generosity, and more. Day after day, we kept walking. We walked through the intrigue of century-old villages and the monotony of industrial areas. We endured the brutality of long stretches of asphalt highways and 90-plus degree heat that sucked the energy from our legs and our desire to continue. We walked through enchanting forests, through light, misty rain that restored our souls, and we found that each day brought a brand new adventure. As we left the town of Padrón on our final day of trekking to Santiago de Compostela, my heart was conflicted. I expected the excitement of reaching our destination, but was taken back and bewildered by the depth of my sadness, by the melancholy that drenched my heart, as I didn't want this journey to come to an end. I still craved more of the Camino path, more adventure, more encounters with other people, and the divine silence that was so much a part of each day. I wanted more of the life narratives from strangers from around the world who shared our journey. I coveted that sensation of being one with nature, God, and each person that we met along the path. I noticed that the last 100 yards before we arrived in the plaza, Jeannie and I were both solemnly quiet, silent, holding hands, reflecting on all that we had just experienced and wrestling with this journey coming to an end as we began to enter the plaza of the Cathedral of Santiago. And then we stood silent for a moment, hugged, tears filling our eyes as we pondered the accomplishment, as we wondered all the ways that our hearts and lives have changed. And then we joined in the celebration with the other pilgrims who were just arriving too. I thought of how my backpack and our journey is actually a beautiful parable about life's joys and fears, highs and lows. It's about what we choose to carry along the path. What do we carry that's necessary? And what do we carry that weighs us down, that's unnecessary? What needs to be discarded given away, or simply abandoned, so that we can be more fully who we're created to be. Life, it's a pilgrimage that we're all on together, and there's but one way to travel. It is the way of love and light. Buen Camino.